Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Guys, how'd I do?
I think you're good. You sounded just like Luke. Maybe
all right,
even better.
I'm looking forward to when Stuck watches this back and he can grade me tomorrow.
He'll give you
you'll get a
player
report
grade.
card on your
I'm
intro
looking forward.
read.
I'm looking forward to my report card on my intro. Yeah. Welcome, guys. I'm Cody. Follow me on Twitter at Cody_CHGO. Ryan, Luke, or not Luke, Corey. I already fucked it up. Congratulations.
I do. Luke and I are very similar.
You got the glasses.
I get it. You know.
Corey _Cubs. Ryan _A_ Herrera. There you go. I did that right. And more importantly, my good buddy Max Bain is here. He's not in studio, but he's remote. Join us right now. Like the OGs that have been following me for a while know how much I love Max Bain. He was one of our first guests we ever had.
I think
on
he was
the show.
our first guest on the show.
Yeah, he's one of our first guests. I've known him for a few years. Max, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. I'm doing the whole single parenting with the new dog right now, so I'm trying to do both. So I apologize if I look away often. Just want to make sure the pup's good, but I appreciate you guys having me on today.
What kind of dog you got?
I got a golden doodle. He's about 5 months right now, 6 months.
Oh, still a puppy then. There you go.
Still a puppy, but he's going on 40 pounds right now, so he's gonna be a big one. He's gonna be a big one. I'm not gonna save money feeding that dog, that's for sure.
He's like he's in the relationship, and I'm pretty sure the girl probably decided on the dog. Is that fair to say, Max?
I think we kind of both came together on that. We had some breeds that we were looking at, but she wanted an Australian Shepherd, so I kind of got her towards the golden doodle side. And plus, she's allergic to dogs, so the hyperallergenic thing and not shedding is kind of a big factor in that. So, it's been good so far. It's been good so far, man.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad to have you here, man. It's the off season, so I think one of our goals this off season is to talk to more prospects, especially with how this team is building through the system right now, and there's a lot of exciting things going on with it. So glad to have you as the first one, man.
Thank you guys having me.
For sure. I guess this is not even really a question. This is more of like I've been wanting to tell you this for a while. Like, remember like 2-3 months ago, I was texting you and I was venting about Cubs ownership. I want to publicly apologize to you that I did that to you via text. Like, I was going through the motions of the baseball season, man, and like I wanted to check in on you, and then we started talking about the team and stuff, and then it just kind of came out, and so I just want to apologize for slandering your employer to you via text.
It's all good, man. It happens. That's part of fandom. That's what makes the Cubs fan base so great. And you mentioned bringing on prospects and whatnot. One of the things I've said kind of from the start being a prospect is that we have a really passionate fan base, especially when it comes to minor league baseball. So, again, I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity to be here today, and I appreciate that you guys are putting in the time and effort to, touch over the minor leagues too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Max, I'm curious, just like as an overarching, just 2022 season, second season of pro ball. I mean, what are your takeaways from yourself and your development this season? What was the season like for you?
So the season started well. I was in South Bend, kind of doing my thing, kind of picked up where I left off last year. And then, I was fortunate enough to get the in-season promotion to Tennessee, which was really cool. That was something I kind of wanted to experience. That was something like I can distinctly remember having a conversation with Cole Roeder in 21 about how cool an in-season promotion would be. So to be able to do that and kind of, I don't know, join the team mid-season, like that's kind of a cool thing. Mm-hmm. Went to Tennessee. My first start, I screwed up my ankle in like the second inning, and I just kind of pitched through it. It was something that it hurt to throw, but like it wasn't something that was going to take me out of a game per se. So I kept throwing on it. We go down to Biloxi in the middle of July, which is it's gorgeous down there. 100% humidity. It's awesome. I screw up my other ankle down there, and I ended up doing like 2 or 3 weeks on the IL. But what had happened in that time is I started kind of compensating for my injuries, and my movements got all messed up on the mound, and I was just moving in a way that wasn't really conducive to throwing strikes. I was kind of putting myself in a position where, as it's been described to me, I gave myself a very small window of release to throw strikes. But I kept pushing through. I kept telling myself that it was something that was mental, that I just needed to be more confident on the mound, that I just needed to have better rhythm and just better tempo. And, so that led, I think that was a pretty large contributor to the numbers in Tennessee, which, again, man, it doesn't take a smart person to go see that the numbers were like, they weren't great. They were actually really disappointing. And that's something I want to improve upon next year. However, to end the year on the development list, taking advantage of an opportunity that the organization had given to guys like Ryan Jensen, guys like Kyle Johnson, who's an older guy but throws 98 out of the bullpen. Taking advantage of an opportunity like that, go down to Arizona for about 8 weeks, really just kind of hone back in on the movement patterns and getting in the weight room, kind of just prioritizing me in my training economy, taking out the game scenario, stuff like that. I think that was really beneficial. And I got the chance to have 7 outings down there, and 6 of which were walk free, which I think if you count my outings between 21 and 22, I might have 6 total. So to be able to see that kind of improvement that quickly, like that was really cool, and something I'm looking forward to taking into the offseason.
Well, you mentioned the developmental list. Like, how do you? I'm just like still trying to figure out like how the games work there. Are they more simulated? Is it like just real games in like the Arizona League, or how do you balance like developing out there while also trying to pitch in like a game situation?
Sure. So the Cubs did a great job with that, because up until the season ended, I was in more of like a live BP setting. So there was no defense. There was no game scenario to worry about other than me just actually pitching. And then when Instruct started is when I finally got the chance to get back into that game scenario, have runners on, get to practice different things within the game, pitching to guys based on where runners are and stuff like that. So I thought that like kind of slow integration back into the game helped quite a bit and allowed me to just have privilege of focus. Because, when things aren't going your way or things aren't going the best, and you just got to keep taking the ball and you keep going out there, and it's kind of feels like beating your head against the wall, the game speeds up too. Like it especially with that pitch clock, the game really speeds up. So it's hard to not feel like you're not spiraling, right? So it just feels like I said, it just feels like you're beating your head against the wall. So to be able to go to Arizona and, like I said, have that integration again from live BPs back into a game scenario really kind of slowed things down for me and allowed me to have that privilege of focus.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, we're, I know you obviously are, trying to do your own development, but when you look at just the overall pitching infrastructure in this organization, this system, obviously it's on the rise. A lot of young names, but a lot of just names that we're starting to hear about more.
Yeah.
From going, South Bend, Tennessee, what have you seen, guys that have stood out to you as far as like who Cubs fans should be looking out for, like names to watch out for?
First off, I think the most impressive thing about our pitching infrastructure right now is the buy-in. I think it's been incredible. And I think you've already seen that, right? I was down at Instructs with Michael McAveen, and we were talking about how we basically, not us as players, but the organization flipped its whole reputation of not being able to develop pitching. We did that in like 3 years. And now we have what every player in every org wants. We're traveling every road trip. We have a Rapsodo, we have a track, we have an Edgertronic. Our pitch design, like our R&D infrastructure and our pitch design process is unmatched. You see guys with disgusting stuff, and it's just the tools that the organization is able to provide us. It's really special. So I think, you say who do we look for, right? Or who should we be watching? And I think the more important, I guess the better answer, rather than just giving you names, is just ensuring that you're able to trust the guy that comes up. Right. So an example this summer is Javier Assad. And I told Brian Smith about 4 weeks beforehand, I said that dude's a big leaguer waiting to happen, because he just goes out there every time and he's commanding the zone. He's got that cutter. He's got the changeup. He's got like 5 pitches that he just throws for strikes. Before the year, nobody really would have heard about him, right? That was kind of the consensus, at least from what I saw. And to see him go do what he did and be as dependable as he was, that's the Javier that we all knew. We were just waiting for everybody else to see it. So I think it's really cool that we're in a position, like I started with. I think it's really cool that we're in a position to, whoever's going to go up there, like, that's a trustworthy dude, and it's a dude that's got really good stuff.
Well, and so I think, like, keeping on that, Max, I'm curious, like, last year especially, even if we would have maybe liked to have seen different results at the major league level, what that did provide was an opportunity for so many guys, Javier Assad being one of them, but we routinely saw guys in the lineup, the rotation, the bullpen, not only just getting an opportunity to come up and play at the major league level, but earn a real spot, a starting spot in the lineup, a rotation spot. We saw Sampson and Assad hold rotation spots for most of that second half. The bullpen, of course, they trade their top 4 guys, and now Brandon Hughes is your highest leverage reliever. Like, for somebody working your way through the system and working your way up, how does it feel to kind of see and be a part of an organization where I think you kind of have that confidence of, hey, like, if I put the work in and I start getting results, like, they're going to give me a shot. I have a real shot to, like, earn an opportunity here.
Absolutely. And I think our the second half results from the big league team only help the minor league guys, right? Because I can't remember exactly where we were, but I think we finished pretty well, right? In the second half, we played pretty well, like, by wins and losses. We played really, really well. Yeah. So I think seeing those guys go up there, having the success they did, just increases that buy-in that I was talking about. I remember that was the first thing I said to Brandon Hughes when he went up and debuted, who ended up finishing top 5 in the NL for appearances as an outfielder. That's cool. So we were talking to Brandon. He goes up and he kills it. And it's like, you should have seen the guys in the Tennessee locker room all watching the games on their phones. We got like 4 phones going and got 6 or 7 guys around every phone. Seeing that, right, being part of that, you just feel like this whole sense of like you said, like you alluded to, like, holy shit, man, if I do this, like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to have success, or we're going to go up there and we're going to have success. And I think, you just see, you see the way, like, Myrtle performed in the first half, South Bend performed pretty much all year long, Tennessee making the championship run. Like, we're winning at these levels for a reason. There's roster. It's not like we have this huge continuity thing going on. Tennessee rolled over a different team in the second half. Right. And they were still very, very competitive, so it's pretty amazing to be part of, man. It's pretty amazing to be part of. And I think the outlook for our minor league guys, I think we're just building trust right now with the organization, which I think is really cool. And even more impressive with a big market team. I think the business side of that and being able to actually have a really impressive minor league infrastructure is, that's hard to come by. You find teams that want to just spend more than just actually develop. So it's cool to be part of that.
What's we've been talking about minor leagues obviously, but who's someone down there in Arizona that was on the developmental list that you think will be able, outside of yourself, of course, that could really, maybe like Ryan Jensen for me is like a guy that I've been waiting on. Like, and I'm not paying attention to minor leagues as much as, someone like Brian Smith or our good friend Greg Huss. And you're there, like you were there seeing it. Like, who's someone from that developmental list this year that could really take a big step next year outside of yourself?
So our developmental list was pretty small. In the sense that I was down there. I was the only guy to wrap the season down there on it. So it went from me and Bailey Reed, and Bailey was in South Bend, to just me. But what it did afford me the opportunity of was to get to meet this year's draft class, which was really cool. And I got nothing but good things to say about the guys that we picked up this year. I think it's been really cool to see. We got some high school guys that are incredibly mature for their age. We got some college guys that just kind of have a routine that works for them already, which I think is really important, especially when you're talking about those guys are going to head out for their first full season next year, and just having a routine established. I think that's going to be huge because that's going to be the longest season of their careers. But circling back, you mentioned the name Ryan Jensen and how you're waiting on him. And there was a start. the start that sticks out to me the most this year, we did like a Pink in the Park night, and I think it was like a Saturday in August. It was right before I came down to Arizona, and Jensen had just gotten back from the developmental list. It was probably his second or third start, or maybe he's coming off an oblique injury. I can't remember, but you could just see like his vibe for the day was outstanding. Like he was loose in the clubhouse, loose with the guys, wasn't putting too much pressure on himself, and watching him go out and he 5 innings, sat 97 to 100. Like that was fun. And you don't see that at the big league level. So it's there. Like Jensen absolutely has it. And he's coming. There's no doubt about that. He's on the way. So I know you're waiting, but patience, my friend. Patience.
I've been patient, bro. I've been patient.
I know. I'm talking to a fan base that waited 100 years. So I apologize.
Max, I want to go back to a couple questions ago. You kind of mentioned the success at Myrtle and South Bend and Tennessee. And when people look at the minor leagues, it's more about like the development and the process than like, oh, let's win a championship in the Midwest League kind of thing. But when you are doing that, you are developing. All these guys are developing, and you're winning. Or you're going to championships. You're winning. League titles, whatever, what have you. How does that maybe influence or give confidence to that group when you guys are moving your way up the minor leagues, and how does that translate into success as a team in the big league level?
Sure. So I think winning is it's very fun for a clubhouse, and that's a very obvious thing to say. But winning is something that takes a clubhouse and it brings it together. Right? Losing is something that's just going to be like, you're just going to deal with stuff that you wouldn't normally have to deal with. And there's going to be guys that are on edge or not performing well and they need to, and it's just, or at least they feel like they need to. And when we're winning together like this, right? I think the best example is probably Myrtle winning the second half. And then that roster saying, you know what, we're tired of this place. Let's just go to South Bend and win it there too. And that's exactly what they did. You see guys that just start like, it's cliche, but they just start pulling for each other. And that's the essential teamwork that comes into like professional sports, because, at least for me, like be a good teammate always until pro ball was like, hey, make sure you're picking up the guy that just struck out. Or if the pitcher just gave up a 6 spot, make sure you give him knucks on the way out. Like that's being a good teammate, being there for your team. At the pro level, being a good teammate is pretty much playing well, right? Like you go do your job. Don't be mean to anybody. Don't be a jerk. Go play well. And that's how you're a good teammate. That's how you help the team win. There's a very professional aspect to it. But when you start winning games, it is so much easier for everybody to get along, good friendships to form. And it carries over on the field. And it's something that's not quantifiable.
That's interesting, considering like the Cubs obviously went through this developmental season at the major league level, and there were definitely some dark times in the middle of the year, but they stuck together and were able to finish the season strong. And whether you want to look at that as however you want to look at that, if it not mattering because they were out of it or whatever, I think that what Max just said is it actually speaks volumes to how well of a job David Ross probably has done in terms of just keeping the guys together and just trying to keep, the guys on this team that are going to be here, keep them going in that right direction of, having that positive mindset.
Well, I feel like we heard, similar stuff to what Max is saying from the major league guys. I think because of the major leagues and like the results, they're not going to say it in as clear of terms as Max did. But like, I feel like we heard from Nico and some of those guys about how important it was to be winning and like the change in energy and, just getting together, even in a season where like the winning wasn't going to lead to what you wanted it to. So yeah, definitely.
That team seemed to have a lot more fun, like down the stretch, right? Up until the last day, that team was having fun, and they were playing like, again, I can't remember the exact record, but it was like 40-30 in the second half. Like they were a very good big league team. Or I should say they were a good big league team in the second half, So that I think all those like short videos you see of guys having fun in the dugout or the clubhouse or on the field and stuff like that, a lot of those came in the second half, and I thought that was really cool.
I think the record was 39-31.
39-31, yeah. So right, almost on the money.
It's interesting to hear that too, because I think some fans in the second half, especially, they'll see, like Nelson Velasquez and Christopher Morel, jumping around in the dugout. And you'll see it, like, even in our social media mentions, like, these guys are having fun, but they're, 20 games under 500. And it, it's like, obviously there's more to it. It does matter. And, like, especially on a personal level for these guys, like, you want them to be having fun. Like, they're working hard to play better too. Like, it shouldn't be viewed that way.
It would be very alarming if, like, things were going bad and then no one in the dugout liked each other.
Yeah. That wouldn't be good.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, Max, just to get back to you really quickly, when you went up to Tennessee, you pitched 16 games, but only 5 starts. Most relief appearances, for you in this system. Is that the path going forward for you? Are you a reliever going forward, or are you still trying to start? Like, what is I guess what are your goals, but also kind of what is in the conversations with coaches and managers and stuff, what is kind of the path forward for you in this system?
Sure. So I do think I am out of the starting rotation for now. But I don't know that it's out of the question that I'll pick it back up again. And what I mean by that, when we kind of talked about a role shift, I believe it was down in Pensacola over the summer. When we kind of talked about a role shift, we kind of identified a comp of like Keegan Thompson, how he's kind of Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
So not saying I don't, for everybody listening, I'm not Keegan Thompson. That dude's really, really good. And I still have a ways to go to be in the same zip code. So, but as in terms of like a future role, that's kind of where I see myself, just kind of give me the ball whenever you want to give me the ball. If we need to pick up a spot, start, cause we got 6 games in 5 days, give it to me, so that's kind of the idea moving forward.
I love those versatile pitchers that the Cubs have just been. It's like they have an assembly line of them coming up, man. Like
I think you're going to see that become more and more popular as the starting pitcher role takes. It seems to continue to take less of an important role outside of the playoffs because that's what's winning. But whatever.
What do you think about that? Because a lot, especially all of the like older generations, they look at numbers and they see, a guy went 5 innings. That's not good enough. Like they can't a lot like you just said, the league is kind of adjusted to where like those middle innings have kind of taken a spot of kind of the role that you are in right now. Like, do you think it's good or bad for baseball that it's kind of just gone this way all across the league?
Good or bad for this? That's a hard one to answer because that's I don't know about good or bad, but I will say I think what gets lost is is just realizing how difficult it is to get these dudes out. Like, this is a very hard thing we're doing. To roll through a lineup twice now is very difficult. It's shrinking every year just how effective pitchers are or starting pitchers are in terms of depth into a game.
There you go.
Sorry guys. Wesley, you're good, bud. You're good. Sorry about that, guys.
That starters are coming up.
I think what gets lost is just how impressive it is. The guys that are able to take the ball every 5th day and give you 5 innings. That's something I saw in Double-A. Like Javier Assad, again, like he's a great example. Every 5th day, you knew exactly what you were going to get. You're going to get 4 to 5 innings. You're going to get probably 3 to 5 strikeouts, 2 to 4 walks, 1 to 2 hits, probably no runs, maybe 1. So the consistency, right? That's what I think is more impressive than a guy being able to take the ball once and go 7. I think if you can give me a consistent starting pitcher that's giving you a very similar result every time, give me that over 130 innings versus a guy who's going to give me 200 innings, but I don't know what that's going to look like.
Gotcha.
Well, and I'm curious, Max, just because you're the first player we're talking to since this is all going down. Like, we're talking about like the MLB. Like, there's a big debate over the weekend about like the playoff format and just the playoffs, and like you have a couple 100-win teams getting knocked out. Like, we don't hear any of that from the players, though. It's all from the media and stuff like that. Like, as a player, your attitude, I would think, would be, hey, we got to win the games, right? Like, yeah. Or do you look at this and think of that differently?
I think I tend to think about things from like a business perspective. That's kind of how I see, I see my career as like a business opportunity. Kind of, I realize that within the system, every player is an asset to a degree. I realize that every playoff game brings in a little bit more money, and I know that they don't have to pay salary for that. They just pay a portion off of the ticket prices. So I understand the need for more playoff games. Just going up with the trend in salaries, or at least the trend in contracts that we've been seeing. So I understand the need for it. As a player, when you're looking at the new playoff format or any playoff format, where are we going and what time does the game start? Because that's going to dictate what time I need to be in the clubhouse. So that's it. Just go, like you said, just go win the game, right? All the business aside, all we're doing is going to win a baseball game. That's it.
Fair enough.
I got one last question. You guys got any more?
Take it.
Okay. All right. So my last question was, is the Bain campaign coming back this winter? Because I know a lot of people loved it last year.
Yeah.
And I want help the people out, Max.
Sure. So, truth be told, I don't know. Because I've talked to I don't know where to go with the content, because fully transparent, I think it'd be really cool if a guy like me had a voice, because a lot of times having a voice within the game is relative to success, right? And obviously I didn't pitch as well as I wanted to this year. So I'm torn between, do I still want to produce content and still still promote myself, even though the numbers haven't quite gotten there or haven't been where I want them to be? Or do I just kind of like take a season and just kind of focus on me, be private, and just kind of let life come to me, spend more time at home with my dog and my girlfriend, So truth be told, I'm not entirely sure. I do know at some point, if I do continue podcasting, which I really enjoy doing, I think it's really fun, especially in the format that we had it, where it was just kind of untimed and it just felt like a conversation. I do know that at some point I would love to go into a player-led podcast, and that's nothing against Brian or Chris, because I think us three really worked well together, and you saw it kind of grow over the 15 episodes maybe 14 or 15 episodes that we released. I think for me personally, if I'm looking at building a brand, right, whether it be my own personal brand or the podcast I'm running, I want to give as many guys a voice within the game as possible. So what I mean by that is I would love to go to like a player-led podcast at some point, similar to what the Compound does. I think Ian, Dakota, and Zach do a really good job over there. So I would love to go to that at some point. But we'll see. I'm not going to give a direct answer because I don't know.
Max, I'm curious, like, what is this offseason going to look like for you as in a baseball sense then? Like, I believe the Cubs are having that offseason prospect camp again. Are you going to be there? What are these next, was it like 4.5 months going to look like for you?
I think it's going to be so hard to answer. And I apologize for overthinking every question you guys have given me today. But I think it's going to be something last year where I had a job. I had time constraints. And I don't think that took away from what I was doing, but it was always in the back of my head. And now it's just now I kind of have the freedom to do what I want. I'm choosing not to work this winter, even though that's going to put me in quite the position come spring. Like, I'm choosing not to work. I want to put all my time into the sport this winter. I have a couple buddies. I have a couple buddies up here, kid with the Braves, Orioles, Reds that I'll be training with consistently. But honestly, I'm looking forward most to the time I have at home now. I don't get to see my girlfriend or my dog. I don't get to see them as much as I'd like to. So in addition to the 3, 4, 5, 6 hour days, I want to be home. And I want to be around Madison. I want to be around the dog. And I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to this winter.
I think that might help refuel for next season, man. Just getting your mind out of the game. And, you went through some stuff this year, but I have no doubt that you're going to get back on the track that you're on in year one. So,
I appreciate that.
I look forward to seeing what 2023 brings. But of course, I'm hoping the off season goes well for you.
I think it's an important year. So I'm going to treat it as such. Every year is important, but with the way that minor league contracts are structured, this year happens to be a little bit more important to me for for me as opposed to the rest of them, or at least leading up to it. So, I'm gonna give it everything I have, man. I know I can't do too much more of what I did last year. I don't know. If we're talking realistically, I don't know how long the leash is. That's part of the game. So I'm gonna put everything I have into it and let the chips fall where they may.
Absolutely, man. Well, appreciate you for jumping on.
Yeah.
I'll have to have you on maybe before the spring or something like that. Maybe when you get back out to Arizona, check in on how the off season went for you. And you're always, no matter what happens, you're always a friend of ours on this podcast, man.
Friend of the program, recurring guest.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on. This is always fun. Love chopping it up with y'all.
Absolutely, man.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
thank you, Max.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
See ya.
See you, bud. All right. Guys, this interview has me all hyped up. It makes me think about what I'm going to eat for lunch after we're done with this. And Greenridge Farms is right up that alley. Greenridge Farms is a Chicago local meat and cheese company offering you a better and all-natural option. Makers of all-natural deli meat, sausages, and their famous meat sticks. Everyone knows I love the meat sticks. Perfect for tailgating, happy hour, school lunches. These all-natural meat sticks are hardwood smoked for 8 hours with 16 grams of protein per stick. Make a perfect post-workout snack. We should get Max Bain some of those, right? Meat sticks come in chicken, black forest beef, and flavors like jalapeno, cheddar, and spicy chili. Haven't tried them yet? You don't know what you're missing. Delicious because they are made from recipes generations in the making, and being all natural, they deliver a fresh and flavorful alternative at snack time. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or in your local Chicagoland grocery store.
I go to Sam's Club.
You do?
I have a Sam's Club membership. I do. It's good.
You need
guy
to hit me up
over
with
here.
that membership.
It's good in bulk, man.
Yeah.
Like when you're in college and you need just a lot of Greenridge Farms. It's all right there. It's in bulk.
I love bulk. I'm going to ask you for your membership. Right now, you can order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarms.com and include a pack of meat sticks in your cart. Those meat sticks will be free simply by using the code CHGO at checkout.
That was
love free meat sticks.
That was a Stuckey level transition.
Oh,
I just want to say, I hope he listens to that because I think you did him proud there.
Thanks.
Want to thank our next sponsor as well, and that is Game Time, the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. The Bears, of course, are underway. The Blackhawks just got started again. The Bulls season is coming up, so any game you want to go to in the city of Chicago, you will not find a better deal than on Game Time, created by the fans, for the fans, and guarantees the lowest price. If you love CHGO, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets with Game Time through the link in the YouTube and podcast descriptions. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events.
See, I was looking at it, and Blink-182 is going to be here in May.
Ooh.
And I really want to go to that. But I don't want to buy, the overpriced, buy get them while they're hot kind of tickets. Like, I want to go on Game Time. I want to see what they got. They might have cheap tickets, they always do.
Right.
They always do. So I'm going to wait.
You
I'm
can
going
get
to go on
Cardinal
Game Time.
playoff tickets for $1 on Game Time, then you can get cheap Blink-182 tickets.
Oh, yeah. So,
and if you know some, especially for that, like you hang out, you wait, you can get up to 60% off. You wait for those prices to come down. Game Time will have you covered.
Absolutely. Taking a look at the chat, we got my guy Mike Dubs, Shane, he's always here. Aaron, he says.
We got Rich. Rich is here.
Rich, thank you as well. Sorry I didn't see you. Aaron says that was an awesome interview. Max, always great to listen to. And yeah, he's great. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
He's
very thoughtful.
Yeah. We sit here and we dream about what the potential of PCA and Brennan Davis and a lot of those top ones, but he was one of the guys that no one talks about that I'm cheering for super hard. Not only because I have his phone number and I can text him and just shoot the shit with him or whatever, but he's just a genuinely good dude. So
it's also you look at a lot of the relievers that have come up for the Cubs this last year, especially how many guys had Brandon Hughes really on the radar before the season, especially at mid-May when he finally came up. I mean, Javier Assad, he mentioned Javier Assad, they all thought he was the guy, but I didn't
We
really
didn't
have.
know.
Yeah, we didn't really have him on our radar until kind of the day he got brought up. Like,
Yeah.
it was. There's so many of those guys in the system, and so many guys that are getting chances on this team that. I mean, hey, if Max pitches well next year, it wouldn't surprise me to see him get, maybe even a late season bump and get a shot, right?
Well,
Like,
I just loved hearing about the buy-in. I thought, when he was talking about that and just the even winning at the minor league level, just putting that in perspective of what it is like for the players, because obviously we view the Cubs and this whole rebuild, even though Jed doesn't want us to call it that still, we view it through a particular lens, right? We want them to win at the major league level. That's the be-all, end-all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think especially to see the results that they got from some of the younger guys throughout the year and to hear from someone going through that process about the infrastructure and, Brendan talks about the infrastructure and Craig Breslow this, Tommy Hotovy that, but Max is able to offer us that other perspective, and it's this, as a fan, this sounds really good. It sounds like a really healthy organization, and the players are happy to be a part of it and have an opportunity to grow and learn with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because when you hear about the pitching infrastructure and you talk to, like you said, just front office people, or you're hearing all this stuff about it, but then you get someone who's actually in it, who's actually working inside it, and telling you this is working, like everyone's bought in, this is working, that. That's where you get some of that extra confidence, okay, what's going on down there is legit.
Yeah. Because it's easy for the team itself to gas itself up. Look at all this cool stuff we're doing. But when Max is pointing that out.
And it's something that he's talked about on we probably touched on a little bit of this when we first had him on back in March. And then just talking to him over the last 2 years, he's really emphasized about the organization, the pitching, and, just the morale inside the organization regarding that now. So, I can sit here and say actions speak louder than what you're saying, but as far from a player standpoint telling us that, you love to hear it. I'd rather hear that than anything negative, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
don't want him to come on here and be like, nah, the pitching infrastructure actually sucks.
What infrastructure? Yeah.
Right. Okay, it's time. Let's grade Nick Madrigal's season, guys.
There we go. You asked for it in the chat
You
yesterday.
asked for it yesterday.
Actually, I think only one person actually asked for
It
it.
was our guy, Mike Dubs.
We need the sad trombone, from Joey or whatever that one is.
Mike Dubs actually, he texted me literally.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the
text-
Nick Madrigal.
He texted me right after the show yesterday. He was like, I didn't think you guys were really going to do Madrigal. I was like, no, we're doing Madrigal, man.
Everybody gets a grade.
Everyone gets a grade, baby.
Just in time for player grades, Michael Hulata in the chat. He's gonna.
Wow, he says he has. That's a positive comment from Michael.
You get
the
those
Ricketts
every once
stick.
in a
It's a
while.
little bit of both.
You get those
Yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah, he did have a positive comment when we had Joe Madden on too, so that's cool.
All right.
So thank everyone again. Thanks for tuning in. Nick Madrigal. Shall I start, or do we want Corey to start like we always do?
Left
As
to
far
right.
as left to right. Yeah.
You want to go ahead and start, Corey?
I can.
All right, go ahead. Well, Joey will bring up. There you go.
Yeah, I went D-.
I wasn't sure what constituted a pass, by the way.
I
guess
D is a pass.
I guess
I don't actually. I think
technically.
D is not.
So
a pass.
and we talked about this
I don't
last
know.
week.
I really don't.
D's get degrees.
F's just feel really harsh, So I feel like I would be pretty reserved with an F. Madrigal, I avoided it only because he had a good month of August, right, when he was out there, and just an F just feels really harsh. I don't know. I don't
You're
feel
making me feel bad.
There's a couple guys who I'm usually not allowed to mention on air who were on the team at the beginning of the year. They get Fs, right? They were terrible, and then they had to get cut or DFA'd, whatever. That gets you an F. Madrigal's defense was fine. I think he rated positively.
Better than what we expected.
Yeah. And I think eye test, I think he gets bailed out a lot with Nico playing in short right in the shift. I think that certainly helps out. I would have a lot of questions about Madrigal without the shift next year, though in my perfect world, he's not really in that conversation, but that's a separate issue. And I think overall, I think a solid D or something like that is pretty much where he lands. I think Madrigal's also one of those guys who gets graded more harshly based on expectations and what you were hoping for from him. And I think the harshest I'll be on Madrigal is that he needed to show us something this year, right? To earn a spot or to show where he fits in going forward. And we didn't get that answer at all. And if we did get that answer, it wasn't a good one, right? It was not a passing grade, as we were discussing with Joey. He wasn't able to stay healthy, which isn't his fault, but wasn't able to stay healthy once again. And when he was out there, and I think he finished the year with like a 70 WRC plus, not going to cut it. So, yeah, I think overall it was a D minus, whatever you want to do. But
yeah,
Here comes Short King energy right here.
I mostly agreed with all that. I think we had pretty similar grades. Joey's bringing it up. Yeah, I had offense D, C-fence. I'm like, can't do this anymore. I said D minus because I was looking at defense yesterday for Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. All right, C for defense and then D overall. I pretty much agree with everything Corey said. Like, he did have that good month of August, and I think when you say like he didn't show us, I think in a different way, like that kind of showed us who he can be, but that wasn't too small of a sample size to trust it. You know, I think like that, like he would hit over 300. I mean, he had a WRC plus of 110, strikeout rate 7.7%. That is like the hitter you hope he can be, and I think he can be, but I can't completely trust that he will be that. You know, and that's why, because that was his longest stretch of like sustained playing time the whole season. Like he had 91 at bats in August, and the next month with the highest number of plate appearances was 64 in April, like March, April. So the health docks him a lot because he wasn't able to show if he could do it over a full season because of like obviously the hamstring injury last year, all things he went through early in the year. Finally got healthy again, had a really good August, I would say, at the plate. Then got hurt again beginning of September. So I know when he talks about this offseason, he's talked about, changing things up, maybe changing his nutrition, his strength and training regimen, like all that stuff to help him get through the grind of a regular season so he's not spending, 2/3 of it on the IL. And I think you want to see if he could do that this offseason so that next offseason, like, okay, or not, I mean, next season, you're like, okay, can you do it this time? Like if he's for some reason still a starting second baseman, again, I think we're all expecting him to be in that shortstop market, but if that doesn't happen, he probably will be the starting second baseman. Okay, now can you handle that for the rest of the season? Can you do a full 162? Not maybe get dinged up here and there, but not get completely hurt. That's the goal. But as far as what this season showed, I think a D is fine on offense. And then defense, he was better than he was given credit for, I guess, from the Sox guys especially. Like we kept hearing how bad he was at defense, and he made one error on the year. Granted, again, he didn't play a whole lot of games. He still ended up with 4 defensive runs saved, 2 outs above average at the position, according to Fangraphs. And I mean, even the eye test, you saw like he wasn't making mistakes. There was a few plays where he showed some pretty solid range, and I think an average. I think he played average. At least average defense at second base, if not even better than that. Maybe I even graded him a little too low on that. But the problem is, I think you mentioned it with the shift, Nico was kind of behind him a few times, picking up the slack against lefties and stuff like that. Now you think, okay, if the Cubs don't go out and sign a shortstop and Nico sticks at shortstop, Nick Madrigal is probably your second baseman. Can he handle that, especially against power lefties without, Nico being able to go behind him and back him up? That's a huge question for him if the Cubs in fact do not sign one of these big name shortstops. Like that's a huge question that's going to have to be answered by Nick Madrigal next year. Otherwise, I don't see a whole lot of extra chances if that's a scenario and he doesn't either is hurt a lot or he's not playing well at second base without Nico behind him. I don't see a whole lot of scenario where they give him much more leash than one season. So yeah, overall D is what I gave him. A lot of that having to do with him just not being on the field. But this is a big prove-it offseason for Madrigal, going into a big prove-it season for him, I think.
I just think, like, we don't know exactly what they're going to do next year.
Yeah.
We have our hopes. We have our rumors and all of this. He just didn't do enough, in my vision, for what they do in 2023, even if it's not, like, crazy. You just can't count. He didn't do enough to be a part of that plan.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You're going to build a team to win the division and put a guy out there that can't stay healthy and was 30% below league average as a hitter because, and like he did look more like how he did with the Sox in August, right? We had seen him hit that way at the major league level before, but at this point it's so inconsistent. And like, again, I don't know exactly how the Cubs are going to proceed, but you just need more of like, maybe not even a sure thing, but you look at someone like Christopher Morel, right? And what he was able to do, like if we're talking about giving a guy a shot, like I'm giving it to him, right? Like not Madrigal, right? Because I'm more interested. He's younger. He, was able to be an above league average hitter, like has more power, has a better arm, So we just didn't see. This was a year you needed kind of like a strong conclusion from Nick Madrigal.
Yeah.
Like here's what he can do, and he showed it, and he just didn't. And I just don't know that they're going to have the time to sort that out. I think is really what it is.
It's really tough because it did come off, the hamstring tear, I want to say it was, going into an offseason where he couldn't work with the Cubs training staff for 99 days. Like, that is 3.5-ish months that he couldn't, recover from his injury with the training staff. And then going into a spring training that was shortened, didn't get a lot of time to just get back into the rhythm of baseball, to let the body kind of rediscover the grind of the season. And then you kind of see what happens this year. And it was just tough all around for sure. I mean, that August was really good, but that's 1 month out of the 6 of a baseball season. So you can't just be completely confident that that's who he's going to be again. So again, it's a huge offseason for him. Offseason for him to get himself right and prove who he is.
Yeah. So shout out to Luke. He's in the chat, by the way. Not Steve, but Luke Stuckmeyer. I'm sitting in your seat, buddy. I hope I'm doing well.
Expected BS from Ryan.
Yeah, he expected B's. I'm actually surprised Ryan didn't give him B's. I went a little harsh here, and maybe it's just because I had a little bit higher expectations. Remember at the beginning of the year when we did like our own like preseason predictions, I picked Madrigal to like be the comeback player of the year. Yeah, we did not get that, and you guys have basically highlighted that. The offense, this guy was a walking ground ball to second or shortstop. It felt like the first until August. That was basically it, and I know a lot of that he was hurt, but I've heard it around the office a lot. The best ability is availability, and I'm sorry, like health. If you can stay on the field, whether you're good or bad, like that's a big step. Health is a big thing to me. All right. So yeah, the offense wasn't good. The defense was actually better than I expected. So I'm with you guys on the defense. I thought he was decent. I don't know how to feel about it with no shift next year. But yeah, he's got to really change his body to not only stay healthy, but also be able to maybe be a little bit more versatile. He's second base, and that's basically it. That's probably what we're gonna see. Yeah, I mean, I'd absolutely love to see him take a Nico Horner type jump, and not necessarily like the same type of numbers, but just be able to stay on the field, because that was the thing everyone said about Nico, was that he was injury prone, even though he basically. I always felt like that was a little undeserving for him because he got called up too early, in my opinion. But a loss. Yeah, Madrigal's getting an F for me, man. Like, you give me one good month in August, and that's it. Like, you're part of a major trade that's in the city, and I already have to hear enough about Eloy and Dylan Cease. You're giving me more pain, brother. I'm sorry. You're getting an F. This is prove it. Like, next year you got to prove it. You got to prove that not only can you stay on the field, but also, like, just like be a average player. Would you say 70 WRC plus?
I think that's where he finished.
70,
yeah.
That's 30% below league average. That's not even Dell metrics. That's literally Fangraphs. Okay, like I'm just asking for an average player who can play second and or come off the bench or something like that. That's literally all I'm asking. And like honestly, going into the year, I had higher expectations, and maybe I shouldn't have, considering he was coming off the injury and this and that, but he really disappointed me. That's basically how I'm grading it. It's just, you look at other second basemen around the league, like, he's one of the worst ones.
Well, no one was happy about the season, and definitely not him either. Like, no one came away from the season with anything else, and it was a disappointing season.
Right.
100%.
And again, it's not that I don't believe he can be a better player or anything like that. It's just I'm just giving you how it is. He was not good, and he couldn't stay on the field. That's a recipe for an F.
I think like you can envision a role for someone like him on a more competitive team, right? We went through many years where the Cubs, I think, desperately would have taken a guy that you could bring up there, even in a pinch hit spot, and say, look, he's going to put the bat on the ball.
He was still
right?
90%
We need the
contact
ball
rate.
in play, and we need it in play now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, somebody go up there and don't strike
There's
out.
definitely things about him that you'd like. The contact rate, and again, he's got good qualities. Now, can he put it together? Can he stay on the field? And can he, I really did like him out of the leadoff in August. He was great in that role. You stayed on the field, and again, I just need more. I need more than 1 month. And the big thing, too, is that you were hoping this year that you were going to be able to learn more about him and see if he could be part of the future. And, instead we're going in the offseason, we got Michael Collada asking, how's he going to improve it if they sign a shortstop? And it's I don't want the Cubs to use Madrigal as a reason to not sign one of the shortstops that are out there, right?
That would be...
So that means next year he's probably not going to have every day at bats if they do in fact do that, which we all believe that they will.
Better,
so it's actually kind of hurting his situation. And he doesn't have any trade value. This was the absolute worst thing that could have happened for him at least. Yeah. And that's why, again, I can't give him anything higher than an F.
Even if I bought into the hit potential that we saw in August, that we saw with the White Sox, we don't always have to go back to the 2016 Cubs, but you're not going to get that level of elite defense, and I think you're going to want that with the pitching staff you're going to put together. A lot of ground balls, just depending who's in there. Madrigal's not going to fit that. So even if you sign someone to play third base, right, and so Nico's still at short, I want his defense was fine, and I do agree. I had this vision just based on what we kind of heard going into the season that he was going to be a complete clown out there, just an absolute mess. That's not really
we thought
what
he was
saw.
At least going to hit.
Well, and that's kind of the opposite, right?
Yeah, and it was kind of the opposite.
But I think even if you're trying to build a more competitive team, they don't all have to be elite defenders, but I want a better defender, a more top-tier defender, and he's not going to be that.
Especially with the shift going in, premium defense up the middle is like a premium. Joey, can you bring up Cody's report card again real quick? I know you were talking about how you didn't know if a D was a pass. An F is certainly not
passing, brother.
Fail.
That's
fail.
Not passing.
Stamp, change, fail. You failed, Nick. You have to retake Cody 101.
Cody 101.
Okay. We got 2 ads here. No, did we decide who's reading Foco?
We might have to push Leiter to tomorrow.
We can push Leiter
again.
Tomorrow.
Sorry, Mark.
That's fine. I'm
Serves you right, though.
I'm
Pitch
sure everyone will be okay with that.
Pitch better, and you'll pitch better, and we'll do you sooner.
I'll do Foco. Okay, Chicago, you've already got the best coverage for your favorite team, so get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Foco got you covered from Soldier Field to the front room, north or south side, with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leader in sports merch and collectibles. Foco, looking for the perfect gift for the football fan in your life. Foco's got you covered with hoodies to fight that Lake Michigan breeze.
Oh, that's true, man.
Really, for real, especially with the wind out there today.
Especially if you have to scooter to work.
Yeah, especially if you have to scooter to work like I do. Check out Foco.com or click the link in the description below for all your non-presale items. Use promo code CHGO for 10% off. And I'm pretty sure they still have the Matt Schwarmer bobblehead. So
that's pretty cool.
Need a collector's item, I'm just saying.
We also got to talk about Chi-Town Cornhole. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Our signature box-style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Their cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders recessed in on the back. The LEDs that light up the hole and exterior handles for easy carrying and handcrafted scorekeepers. It's veteran-owned and operated. They can ship these cornhole, I call them bags, but cornhole, I guess, what do you call them? Like the cornhole boards. There you go. Yeah. Cornhole boards anywhere, and they offer local pickups. They specialize in corporate designs for your company's next marketing or social event, wedding gifts, and gifts for all occasion, and especially for tailgaters and backyard barbecues. We got some pretty cool ones in the office. 2 sets, CHGO ones, pretty dope.
Buttes.
Yeah, we'll have them at our next tailgate. So if you want to play some bags, make sure you make it to our tailgate. Come play with us.
It's the Dolphins, November 6th, I believe.
November 6th? Is it Dolphins?
I think that's who they play.
Probably. So go check out their website, shytowncornhole.com, and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Shytown Custom Cornhole Boards.
And on Twitter. But specifically on Instagram, because I guess their account got hacked or something. So they're trying to rebuild a new one. So go follow them. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, so if we're going to push Leiter, can I at least add in a comment since I won't be here? And I feel like I want to.
Do you want to hop in tomorrow just for like 10 minutes to do Leiter?
I am going to be on an airplane, so I don't think that's going to work. But
right.
Michael Collada says, in case I am gone tomorrow, Leiter D+. I just looked it up. D+ is technically above. It's not even poor. It's a little bit above
we're
poor.
playing by our own grading rules, right? I think we're making that up.
So congrats, Mark Leiter.
I will say an F is definitely a fail. So like the fact that graphic had passed on.
Cody got it. Yeah, he failed Nick Madrigal. We do know that.
I did.
Look, I just want to say, Mark Leiter Jr. as a reliever, very different person than Mark Leiter Jr. the starter, right?
Yeah.
53 innings. 577 opponent OPS, sub-3 ERA. I'm not like a Mark Leiter Jr. stan, right? Like I don't have a
Corey
jersey.
Stanning.
Don't say that.
It's not
Don't
even
say
a
that about
lefty.
me in the
would
chat.
be-
Not even a lefty, and you love
It would
him.
be weird if you were.
No, I'm not. But was he like number one in the chat? He was like the chat's worst enemy, public enemy number one.
And Simmons MVR.
And like
before they were let
he
go.
wasn't good as a starter, but I'm just saying, like
And Rucker,
53
too.
innings as a reliever is not a small sample. It's a lot of relief innings, and he was pretty good.
He did eat a lot of innings.
He just took a lot of slander,
Yeah.
you know. And it's
Yeah.
like, maybe it was a
we'll
lot of
talk
mop-up
more
innings,
about- we'll
but like
talk more
somebody's
about
got to
it
pitch
tomorrow.
those innings,
Yeah,
and he
so-
did them well.
Somebody's got to pitch the mop-up innings, and
Sub-3
Yeah.
ERA.
you got it. Yeah, you got it.
Absolutely.
I will also say that, again, like you said, he was not good as a starter, and I think that just kind of torched him in the eyes of fans. And so whenever he came out there, like
this
he
guy.
gave up a lot
This
of
guy,
runs as a
right.
starter. No, I mean you saw. I mean he that changeup. His changeup is like really really good.
It's a
Like
little
go look at the
something, yeah.
stats. Go look up the stats on his changeup. Baseball savant. Like it. He
can-
has a really good pitch. The problem is it's like that one and his sinker are good. But then like when you're a starter, you can't really last on like one really good pitch and one like decent pitch, and three others that aren't that good. Like you need more. We'll talk more about Mark.
Talk
Leiter
more
Jr.
about tomorrow. Corey is, or not Corey, Joey is trying to get me to end the show. Luke,
Keeps
I hope
doing
I did
this.
well in your role today. Thanks for stopping
miss you,
in,
Luke.
dropping
Stucky
in,
Nation.
whatever. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Hit that like button before you head out of here.
Yeah, hit it.
Subscribe if you don't. If you just saw the show for the first time today, welcome. This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast, presented by DraftKings, my favorite app if you didn't know. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 1:20, Fly a W, and go Guardians.